Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Shai. And give double honor to the apostles of greatness and do well. Salutation to the men of the hopeful and saints elect. There's a brother Marcus out here in Trinidad. I just want to do all of the edification for the elect's sake. And the name of this lesson will be Make Israel Great Again. Alright, and what I mean by make Israel great again, is that, in the ancient times, as the scripture says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance. Alright, so what the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai did, the Lord put all people in their own lands and gave Israel the choice land, just like where Abraham did, with his 7 sons, but to the 8th he gave his 7 sons, he gave them gifts, and to the 8th son he gave all that he had. Alright, it's the same thing the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai did for his chosen people, the tribes of Israel. And when the Lord intended for us to be in the ancient kingdom, we were supposed to be there by ourselves. We wasn't supposed to have the other nations dwelling with us. That is why he told us to basically, get rid of them, get them out. And it's the same thing we're gonna do in these times. We're not gonna be living with the nations. We're not gonna like in church they say, even like when you look at the Jehovah Witness pamphlets, you see they're showing the kingdom of heaven, show all manner of people, all spectrum of people, living in the kingdom, being one. It ain't gonna be like that in the kingdom. Alright? It's not gonna be like that in the kingdom. The only people that are gonna be in the kingdom of the Most High are the seed of Israel. Alright? Of that lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's not a spiritual Israel, but of the seed. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 25, I believe. It says, in Yahweh Shem Shai shall the seed of Israel be justified. Alright? It was never a spiritual Israel. It was always about the seed. Alright? This Isaiah chapter 52 and verse 1. It says, awake, awake, put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into thee the uncircumcised and the unclean. And who did Israel call uncircumcised and unclean? The other nations. So the Lord saying, no more gonna come in unto thee. They're gonna come and be on top of you. They're not even gonna be in the midst of you. Alright? So from henceforth it's not gonna happen. The Lord not gonna allow it. It wasn't supposed to be like that in the first place, but because Israel didn't destroy the nations, as they said, they became a thorn in their sides. Alright? So now they're gonna be I think he said he's gonna thoroughly purge his floor. He's gonna thoroughly purge his floor, prepare his kingdom for his children, for his people. Alright? No other nations gonna be in that kingdom. Alright? These Numbers chapter 23 and verse 9, it says, from the top of the rocks I see him, and from the hills I behold him. Lo, the people shall dwell alone. The people shall dwell alone, and shall not be reckoned among the nations. Alright? And I want to just look up that word reckon. Alright? When you look up the word reckon,
Strong's H2803, Chashav.
Alright, it means to think, plan, esteem, calculate, like running a census. Like if you run a census in all the lands, and you know everybody's background, you know all their genealogies, you know all their lineage, you're not gonna go in this land and count, alright, 10,000 Edomites, 50,000 Elamites living amongst 1 million Israel. Nah, it's not gonna be like that. Alright? They're not gonna be calculated or counted amongst the nations. Alright? It says to think, account. Alright? Plan, devise, mean, charge, impute, reckon. Alright? Let's look up the word reckon here. All right, so or reckoned. Search web. Just once. When you look up the word reckon, it means established by calculation. All right, consider or regard in a specific way. So it says what? Established by calculation, to be tallied up, to be counted, run the census. When you run a census, you're not gonna have nations counted and prospering amongst Israel, and Israel scattered here amongst the nation and scattered there amongst the nation. Nah, it ain't gonna be like that. It's just gonna be the land of Israel, and we're gonna have our servants doing our work. All right, so they say we're not gonna be reckoned amongst the nation. All right, computed. All right, when you go into comparing verses, all right, the ASV says reckoned among the nation. Boom, boom, boom. ESV says, from the top of the crags I see him, from the hills I behold him. Behold, the people dwelling alone and not counting itself amongst the nations. Right? It says, the CSB says it does not consider itself among the nation. BBE, it says, from the top of the rocks I see him, looking down from the hills. It is a people made separate, not to be numbered among the nations. So we're not gonna be numbered among the nation. We're not gonna be mingled. And you see Elamites, Moabites, Ammonites, Hamites, Edomites, all these nations dwelling amongst us. We're gonna be separate from them, because that is how it always supposed to be. And that is with the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai gonna return us to our own glory. All right, it's not gonna be like any time of Nehemiah where we're gonna be mingling so much among the nation till the children can't even speak, their language. They don't know who they are. They start worshiping idols again. Nah, it ain't gonna be like that. All right, we're gonna be separate from the nation. The kingdom is only for Israel, just like what Trump trying to do. Trump trying to get all the immigrants out to make America great again. And we know by immigrants, he just talking about people that came into America illegally. All right, but he trying to make America great. We trying to make Israel great by having only the seed of Jacob in that land. All right. There's Isaiah chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, "Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song to my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard in a very fruitful hill." All right. It says, "And he fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof." And who is the stones? The other nations. Because when he prepared that land, the nations, they went in the land because we weren't there. All right, and what the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yahushai did when he sent us into the land to dwell, he went and allowed us to conquer them and cast them out. He cast the stones out. All right. He fenced it and gathered out the stones thereof and planted in it the choicest vine, which is what the seed of Jacob, and built a tower in the midst of it, and also made a winepress therein. And he looked that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. All right, in John 7, it says, "The vineyard of the Lord is the whole. Lord of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah is pleasant plant." All right, so that is what the Lord gonna do. Once again, he gonna cast the stone out, but as Yahweh said in Matthew 3 and 12, he gonna thoroughly purge his floor. All right, so they're not gonna be there again. They're not going to be there again. They're not going to be in the midst of us. They're not going to be in the midst of us and then grow with us and a mixed multitude. That is not what's going to happen. This time, they're going to be done perfectly. All right? They're going to be done perfectly, and the kingdom going to be ours. The scripture says, oppression shall not rise up a second time. All right? The book of Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 20, it says, "In that day which is shortly to come," it says, "shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yahweh Shemiah Shai, and the pots of the Lord's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. It says, yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yahweh Shemiah Shai of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them and seat therein, and in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of Yahweh Shemiah Shai of hosts. Because right now, the Canaanites, they came in the land, those Hamites, worshiping, believing that they were, their forefather was Jacob, like the woman by the well, all right? And guess what? Just like those were the stones that the Lord cast out when we went in, all right? So when the Lord prepared that land, it's not going to be defiled by the inhabitants again. When you go in the book of, I believe it's 1 Maccabees, chapter 1, it says that, basically, strangers was dwelling in the land, and, her own children forsook her, all right? But now, pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 36, he says, hey, the art hand to come, you're going to be filled with Israelite children, all right? And men and women, and you're gonna be filled with them, you're gonna flourish. And that is where we, that is where we laboring for, to be in that land. We don't have to listen to Indian music again up in the morning, and all them shippiness. Right? We don't have to worry about no Karens, we don't have to worry about, being profiled. You go in a store, the manager, supervisor, they just circling you around like vultures. We don't have to worry about those things in the kingdom again. All right, we're gonna be looked down on. We're gonna be the greatest people on this planet. All right, we are the chosen people, and the Lord Yahweh Shemiah Shai gonna rise us up to our rightful place. We're gonna be there. All right, and they're not gonna be there. And Esau gonna be done away. All right, Esau gonna be done away. All right, this is the final precept here. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 14. It says, blessed are they that do his commandments, and that they may have rights to the tree of life, and may enter through the gates into the city. And that is where we're laboring for, to enter into the gates of them city, the first resurrection. It says, for without are dogs and sorcerers and whoremongers and murderers and idolaters, and whatsoever love it and make it a lie. Guess what? 2/3 of our people are going to be outside too. Meaning they're not going to be able to enter into the gates of the city. They're going to come through the seed of the elect. All right? So anything outside going to be considered unclean, and to be clean you have to come through the seed of the elect, because the elect going to be perfected at Yahweh Shai's arrival. All right? And all the nations, all wickedness, all uncleanness, they're going to be able to enter into that city of gold and dwell amongst the children of the Most High. All right? So, that is a glorious day to look forward to when the Lord make Israel great again. All right? And we're looking forward to that. So with that, I want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemiah Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles of great mercy and do well. Salutation to the men of the Ophland Saints elect. There's a brother Marcus out here in Trinidad saying Shalom and stay strong. Shalom.